How many of you thought there was a fault? How many thought that maybe there was a fault with the internet or the TV wasn't working properly? I bet you started kicking it. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to Friday Night Files. I do appreciate you being here. Really cool. Just want to say thank you for joining. If you're watching this on X, please feel free to join in on the comments live. And if you're watching on YouTube, it will be on Dogman TP Hunting. Listening to this, it will be on the Interdimensional Voyages. However, you're getting this. Follow, like, thumbs up, and subscribe. Really helps the channel. I know every channel says the same, but do you know what? It is a small channel, and we're trying to grow. We've got a great team behind us, a great group of people following at the moment, and it just really does help, to be honest. It doesn't cost a bin, as I say. And if you're on YouTube, hit the hype button. Okay, now where you got the thumbs up, scroll along, and you'll see hype. Try it; doesn't cost anything. It's really cool. But yeah, give that a go as well. Okay, so tonight we will be hearing from Keith Evans, author of 3 books: Vampire Dead or Alive, The Hayes House, Ghosts Are People Too, and The Planet of the Vampires. Okay. Keith Evans has a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Central Florida. He is a retired Army reservist and retired forensic scientist. Now, all questions from your comments will be presented at question time later in the show. Okay, so we're going to stop with the bringing up questions during the interview. We'll just dump them all together and then bring up on question time. I think that's going to be a better way of doing it. It's a bit little less confusing for me anyway. Now, let's please all welcome Keith Evans to the show. Hello, Keith.
Hello, how's you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to swap you over to me. Let's have a little look. Yeah, all good. Yeah, not too bad. We had a bit of trouble, didn't we, Keith, trying to get you on the PC?
Yeah, that's true.
Wasn't having it, was it?
Here, I'll let them look at my book. That way, the book cover is prettier than I am.
Oh, I could
Can you
do
see
better
it?
than that. I could do better than that, Keith. I could do better than that. Yeah, let me put this up. Yeah, right? Okay, right. Okay,
All
right.
right, I like
Okay,
that.
that's cool, isn't it? Okay, yeah, right. So that is Planet of the Vampires book. Okay, we're going to be diving into that a little bit. Okay, and asking a few questions and seeing what that's about. Now another book is The Hayes House. For anyone out there interested in the paranormal, ghosties, ghoulies, this is the book to get and to have a little look about any of that. And we have, last but least, Vampires Dead or Alive. Yeah, yeah. Which was first? What's the first book you wrote in that series?
The Hayes House goes for people too.
That one.
Yes,
Okay, right. Okay then. All right, and um,
that
then
book
it
is
was
only available as an ebook. I had paid a novelty publisher a lot of money, and it just wasn't cost effective. So I was
okay.
able to keep the ebook, but if I want to, I'd have to republish the Hayes House Ghost for People too. I actually thought about doing that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you can get it on ebook now.
Yes.
Okay. Who's that uh who's that suave, sophisticated looking gentleman modeling the book, Keith?
So that's me.
Never. Is it?
Yeah, don't it look like me?
No, it does. It does. It's just the lighting. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to take that off. All right then. Let's have you back on. Uh What we've got is, can we start first of all with, if you don't mind, the vampire's dead or alive? Okay. After that, I'm going to just swiftly go into the ghosty and the Hayes house part. Okay. But I've written out a few questions. Nothing too taxing. I don't think this will be. In your book, you look all of the at all of the traits that would compare a vampire to a living being. What traits did you find in the book Vampires Dead or Alive?
Well, many. I'd say at least 11 or 12 different, um, more or less, powers of a vampire, what their abilities are. For instance, like their ability to shapeshift. I don't know any human being who can shapeshift. They might be able to put on a wig or grow a beard or change their clothes, but they can't shapeshift like a vampire from a more or less a being like ourselves into a bat, or and they can't dematerialize. No human
Mm,
living being can but dematerialize and just disappear in the thin air. And then I
mm,
try to explain using science how that could happen. The shape shifting, I feel that somehow vampires can use some type of energy or force to bend space and time just relative for their own physical body, not the whole room. And they go back to a time where they actually were a bat or a wolf.
mm,
And that way they can just instantaneously turn into a bat or a wolf and, maybe flee an area where someone is taken by surprise, and it's like a life-saving mechanism. But that's what
mm.
they do. That's the only way it can be done. There's no biological system set up where you could magically just switch from a human being type person into a bat or a werewolf or a wolf. And I feel that bending space and time for just their body, not anything else, just their own body, and then they go back to a time where I believe in reincarnation. So if we've been reincarnated over and over and over for millions of years, we might have been reincarnated as beings on other planets, animals on Earth. So I think a vampire has that ability to go back to become whatever it wants to become uh, when it needs to. And as far as dematerializing, they just go back to a time where they were just a soul, where they did not have a biological body of any sort. They were what we would
Mm.
call ghosts or spirits, and then they just dematerialize. So that's the way I look at it and explain it through science.
Okay. It, let's take it. Let just for a minute. Let's take it on the classical point of view of a vampire being uh, 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 the undead, if you like. Yeah, the unalived vampire that's still animated. Um, so what's going on here? So taking it as that, there we go. Taking it as that, do they have souls, being that essentially they are vampires and they're almost animated dead? Do they have
Yes,
souls?
yes, they have souls, and I think it's just like a caveman point of view to compare them to being dead. We only know life as we know it from Earth, but if we could look at life in other locations, we probably would, think that some life in other locations are a combination of dead or alive. But I'm sure there's life out there that could be very complicated and very simple to the point that we would say, no, that's not life, but it on different planets, I'm sure life takes many different forms. Even on our planet, there
Mm,
are extremophiles that can live in very hot environments
mm,
near a opening at the bottom of the sea. And that
mm,
opening might be to an underground volcano that leaks out a little bit of lava. And there's extremophiles that can live off of just the sulfur in the water. So there's all
mm.
types of life forms. And if you
Yeah,
don't
no,
know any better, you would explain a vampire as being the living dead. But there's different type of life forms on different planets.
yeah, I get that. I get that. Are you tackling? Did you tackle this subject in the classical form of a vampire, or have you taken it as a more of a hybrid kind of viewpoint? Have you applied um,
Classical. All the
classical?
traits I looked at have been the classical traits of a vampire, since what Bram Stoker's book. So they're
Mm,
all pretty much classical. The only thing I don't cover, I'm trying to think of the term for it, psychic vampires. I don't cover that because I think that's just a overbearing person's abusive behavior of people that allow others to belittle them. So I don't think that's really they use the word vampire, but I don't think it has
yeah,
anything to do with the traditional vampire.
yeah. The
So
the
that's not
use of
covered in the
the
book.
Yeah, the use of the word, I suppose can be applied. But the word vampire came from originally was introduced into the dictionary, a German dictionary first of all, wasn't it? And then a year later adopted by us as well. Uh,
I'm trying
um,
to remember, but I do have that in the front of my book.
mm,
It seemed like it's an Armenian word. It was first used in, I think, Armenia.
mhm.
Uh, I would have to look to be sure, but it might be in the preface of Vampires Dead or Alive
Yeah.
with a quick foreword.
I mean, can you still hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Um, Yeah, the Western conception of vampire was codified in Bram Stoker 1897 novel Dracula, um, which framed the creature as satanic, apocalyptic monster, and a sexual predator, representing a profound threat to Victorian morality and social order. Which, for shock value at that time that it was written, it was a absolute, Machiavellian book. It was like, what, wow, it was a crazy book. And for him to have written that and a publisher to have published it, it was like quite a feat. Uh, I mean, with with vampires, if you go for the classical, they do, uh, latch on someone's neck, and they do unalive them, let's say, uh, uh, to be able to then bring them back an animated, almost like offspring, a sort of uh, another replicant of themselves. So that's why I thought I'd ask about, being that they have to reach a point where they're physically unalived to then reanimate as a vampire. Do they still have souls? And that's what I couldn't quite understand, because I thought a soul would belong to a living being, a sentient living being, not a being that had just vampires seem to have this like kind of bloodlust and this. But we'll get on to the society part of things a little bit later. I think that's going to be the interesting thing. Vampires' origins, biology, and place in modern culture. You say in your book. Uh, now, uh, the most famous attributed sort of to vampirism and well, Dracula type thing would be Vlad the Impaler for Dracula. Um, that was cited as being one of the first um, characters in history, which because of uh, uh, his his he was very what's the word without remorse. He was without any kind of humility. He was uh, the way he impaled people was just awful, and it kind of um, it's in history tainted him with this Dracula um, label. Um,
Well, he was a narcissistic dictator, and seems like all narcissistic dictators are like that. But I don't feel that's the character of every vampire, and I don't necessarily feel that he was a vampire. It might have been a word that they applied to him because he was very evil. But I don't look at vampires as being evil or as being the person that's going to drink your blood until you die. They may need blood to live, but they can also drink blood from cattle, from horses, and just take a couple pints. They don't have to drain your blood until you die. And
mm,
I'm not sure that they really want to drain the blood of everybody. Uh, the
mm,
tradition is that if they drain your blood, the person will die and come back as a vampire.
mm,
And I'm not sure if that's what they want to do. I think they more or less want to drink blood. And if they could actually drink the blood of a person by getting it from a blood bank, I think they gladly do that more so than draw attention to themselves. And think about it. How many people die each year in the USA or the UK from vampire bites versus
mm,
how many people die from auto collisions. And we're not
mm.
afraid to go out on the road every day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, am I right in thinking that if we consume physically, if we consume too much blood, if we were to drink blood, that our liver would shut down because of the iron?
Yeah, the iron, our body does not have the capacity to remove the iron. The vampire bat has the ability to remove iron from uh, the blood that it drinks, and it's absorbed. It has special cells on the lining of its digestive system that absorbs the iron and then dismisses it as number two waste. But we don't have that. And blood here on Earth, other places, blood might be more nutritional.
Mm,
Here on Earth, blood would be not sustainable for a human being to drink. It's very low nutritional. So vampires would need a lot more blood here on Earth if they're drinking humans' blood.
mm,
But on other planets, that might be very different. Blood on other
okay.
planets might be very nutritional and might
Yeah.
have different substances in it which might sustain a vampire even if they drink very little of it.
Hmm. So,
We only
so,
judge from what we know here on Earth. In other places
oh
in the
yeah.
universe, things are very different.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Keith, I've cited this before, and that is in the 1800s. If you'd have gone back, if we'd gone back with some of our tech now, they would have they'd think it was some kind of crazy witchcraft, man. It would be like,
Yes.
so we're only as wise or as understanding as we're able to have the equipment to test. if we have the equipment to test appropriately, it seems to be to me that a lot of these entities, let's say, are just that one step ahead of us in the technology side of things or the evolutionary side of things. And I don't just mean physiological evolution, I mean, maybe mental or another
I
plane
agree.
evolution. You know, um, I'm glad you do. About the only person that does with me. But right. So, genetic mutations in your book, Vampire Dead or Alive. You talk about these mutations. When did the mutations happen, as far as you can gather? And do you know what triggered them? Was it environmental or biological? The mutations that was is that why they were triggered?
Well, I was looking at a study that was done when they compared the vampire bats of South America who drink blood by scratching the surface of a big mammal and just sipping it. And they looked at these vampire bats, and they saw that they had they compared their DNA to bats that aren't vampires, the bats that just eat fruits or bugs or whatever. And they saw the difference in the DNA. And most of the DNA, it was certain amino acids that were missing. So they had just about the similar DNA, excuse me, of
Mm,
the fruit bats, but certain uh, amino acids were missing from the DNA.
mhm,
So that allowed the vampire bat uh, to be able to drink blood and not taste that iron taste that you get from blood.
mhm,
And also, it allowed the vampire bat's digestive system to absorb the iron out of the blood. But
mm,
at the same time, the vampire bat can starve to death by not getting enough nutrition.
mm,
So
mm,
it changed the DNA of the vampire bat's brain so that the vampire bat will actually, they'll help a fellow vampire bat and give them blood if they think they're going to pass away. Because a lot of vampire bats just die of lack of nutrition. They just starve to
right.
death.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
But
There's a little.
that's where I looked at the DNA. I think vampires have been around longer than humans, and in fact, they might have been the entity that brought us from the apes to who we are today, because
Mm,
some of their DNA it can't be found anyplace else on Earth. So it might have been donated to us by the vampires,
mm.
and so anyway, we all might have a little bit of vampire in us.
Yeah. 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 Well, I believe we've all got a little bit of like Genghis Khan in us, don't we? Did you hear about that? We've got like I think 1 in 3 people have got like genetically we've got a bit of Genghis Khan in us. Um, but
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, there's another interesting segue, really, from what you were saying. We don't have too much in the way of uh, for all our advancement in technology. With nature, it still has hidden treats in store. And I remember going this summer on a safari, Keith, and we were going around on a safari, and the ranger turned around and he said, "Oh, over there is a small red panda. You know the little small red pandas,
Yeah,
and like they're really good climbers. Really excellent climbers. They just climb trees and eat these leaves, and the leaves they eat. I'm not sure if they were eucalyptus or they might be. Anyway, um, let us know in the comments anyway. But the leaves they eat, when they digest them, it turns into cyanide. Now they eat the equivalent of they take in and consume enough to unalive a grown human
Right.
3 times, unaliving 3 times. They eat enough quantity of cyanide, which turns into cyanide. And to this day, I said, "Oh, no, why is that? Is it the stomach?" Or he said, "No." To this day, scientists cannot understand how they get away with it. They pull that trick of eating all these leaves. It turns to cyanide, and they seem to just it doesn't affect them. Yeah, it's funny nature, isn't it?
I heard about that too, and I don't know. There were some theories about it, but I can't remember what those theories are.
No,
But I'm sure it's
no,
something in their DNA which removes the cyanide or keeps it from uh, activating into actual harmful form. That's the way
mm,
I would look at it.
yeah.
Otherwise, they would be dead.
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a strange thing, isn't it? It's like, sometimes of evolution, you kind of like it's a bit bonkers, really, and to eat something which knowingly is going to turn into a poison in your stomach, doesn't really make a lot of sense. But obviously, there's something within that in that leaf they're eating, which they need. They require, so nature's a funny old beast. You mentioned about animals that where they're bled for 1 or 2 pints. It brings me on to something that I wanted just quick to ask was the extraterrestrial connections with animal and the sanguination of the animals remains also, because there are numerous accounts of these animals which have been sanguinated, and also with puncture marks as well found on them. Sometimes this is attributed to a chupacabra type entity. Is there a possibility that indeed it could be a vampire creature?
It's a possibility. I mean, I feel that vampires are extraterrestrial, and I feel that they've been on Earth for a long time, and may have made it with Earthlings, humans. So there might be vampires that are more like a human being than a vampire. So, but as far as some of those attacks, it could be, but I doubt it. I think it's just a cryptid animal, even though I feel that vampires fall into the cryptid form also. I think vampires are as cryptid as any other unknown species that we just don't recognize. Like the panda bear, everyone recognizes that as it's in the
Yeah.
zoo, but we don't go to the zoo and say, well, this is the vampire, once thought to be a cryptid. He gets to go home as soon as the zoo closes. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. When I think of a vampire, I don't think of someone that's going to drink your blood and kill you like a homicidal maniac.
Mm.
I think you have more chance on Earth of being killed in an auto accident. And I really feel vampires get a bad rap. I think they're just a cryptid, extraterrestrial and terrestrial animal since they've been here probably before human beings. They've been on Earth in some way of another. And I really feel that the fact that they drink blood is probably a plus on their planet. On their planet where they came from, maybe animals aren't that plentiful and you don't want
Mm.
to kill them. So if you drink their blood, then they get to live and you get to eat. So it's a win-win situation. I think the vegetarians would be very happy. They may not want to drink blood, but at least you're not killing the animal to eat it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't. It seems like the fact that vampires kill you by drinking your blood is just a big distraction to scare us away from understanding vampires. And you know, the fact that they drink blood doesn't mean they have to kill anyone. They can always get blood in other forms. If you have enough money, you can buy whatever you want.
Yeah.
So,
Does it have to be, you mentioned about like kind of blood banks and stuff, and they could drink from a bag in a blood bank. And I've seen
right.
it on TV programs where they do this, and they get really desperate, and they start getting the DTs for blood, and they're like, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'm going to check out a blood bank." Um, is it a case that can that does the I'm not au fait with this. You will be more au fait. Does the constituent I can't even say it. Does the blood degrade at all once it's out of the body and out of circulation and put into a bag? Does it
Yes.
alter? Right.
Blood, it will actually degrade to the point where there's less and less red blood cells. You have to keep it cold. So if
Mm.
you don't use it, blood will go bad.
So
And
why
they
would
they
they?
put they put I'm trying to think of the term. They put it's like a Hepburn lock. They put that in with the blood that's been drawn from a person to keep it from clotting because it has a tendency to clot. So yes, if you don't use the blood within a certain period of time, you can't really utilize it. It'll go bad. It won't be
Okay.
good to
So
put inside of a person. It'll cause clots.
right. Okay. So for the just say a vampire's point of view, it's going to be a proper second best dinner, isn't it? It's going to
Yes,
be like,
yes,
yeah.
yep, you got it.
Okay, it's on the one hand you're gonna go to a steakhouse or you're gonna go to a blood bank and have like a Mackie D. Yeah.
And yep, if you were a vampire, you would get into that business in a heartbeat. You would say,
Okay.
"I'm the guy that's going to come around and collect all the blood that hasn't been used and is outdated," and
Uh-huh.
and that would be it. You will just go ahead and take the blood and dispose it in a humane way, snacking
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But I just
Okay.
I just want to get people to open their minds to look at things a different way. As vampires, they look different. They are different. They're from a different place in the world, uh,
Mhm.
and you don't have to be afraid of something just because it's different. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like the whole routine with human beings. If it's different, well, we want to kill it, and get rid of it. You don't have to be that way because it's not the proper way to be. It's wrong.
Well,
So
you're
I
doing
think
it
we
the
need to
right
look at
way.
vampires as being more like just a different being with intelligence and the same wants and needs as we have. They want to eat just like we want to eat.
Yeah, sure. Can they eat, if need be, can they eat uh solid food? Can they eat if I went out for a KFC, could they have a KFC?
That I would say probably not. I'm not sure if their digestive system is developed to eat whole food. I'm sure they need water. I'm sure they can drink fluids, and they might even be able to drink, you know, orange juice or stuff like that. But when it
Mm.
comes to eating whole food, I'm not sure if they have the digestive system for that. They might have a very limited digestive system that just removes the iron from the blood.
Yeah.
And it depends if a person is only 50% vampire and
Mm.
say their grandfather was a vampire, and
Yeah.
ever since that only they were only mating with humans, then they might have the ability to drink blood and to also uh, eat whole food.
Okay. Because I was going to say, Keith, with all that iron going on, they must get through a lot of toilet roll because I know for sure if I ate no solids and just had fluid, and that was it, especially, high iron, I'd be constantly on the toilet, mate. I'd be, it would be an issue. It would be an issue. So they must, I don't know, they must kind of, I don't know, maybe their metabolism, obviously, their metabolism must be slower, really slow, to try and get every ounce of nutrients out of that plasma, that blood. Um,
Definitely.
right. So You just quickly on the vampire bit at the moment, and then we'll skip over to the Hayes house. One last thing I want to ask: what is the force? Is it an electromagnetic frequency that you're talking about that they utilize to transform and because everyone, including ghost hunters, say, look, it's electromagnetic. It's all electromagnetic. I'm not so sure. I don't think so. I think a lot of it is uh, uh, a different force, a natural force, but a different force.
Well, it could be any force. Say if they had a small black hole, they could bend space and time, and a small black hole could be very very dense but very very heavy. And if they could control it and utilize it to bend space and time to their will, and then they would be able to go back in time to when they were, say, a bat, and then they would turn. You would see them as a bat, but they're only bending that space and time just for their physical body. They're not doing it for the rest of the room. So you're not going to go back in space and time with them. But it could be anything that's strong enough to bend space and time. It could be any type of electromagnetic force, like the ley lines on Earth.
Yeah.
If they're at some spot where the ley lines are, that might be enough to bend space and time for them, especially if they have some type of technology that can amplify the ley lines. Kind of like a photo multiplier tube that has mirrors in it, and it gets a little bit of light, but it bends all the light within it internally until it creates more light. So if they have a technology to increase the energy of a natural form of energy, like the ley lines on Earth, then that's could be what they would use to bend space and time.
Yeah, it could be, but then light itself, let's say photons don't have any mass, so it'd have to be neutrinos, which are all the while going through us all the while. But that's with that, it would have to be such a mass of energy to actually, the amplifier would have to be just I don't know. But then again, they might have tech, like you say, if they're on another planet, they might have tech way above what we can even think of.
Well, just like you're talking about neutrons, I mean, they're small enough that they can actually go through a human body. But if you look at a human body, there's a lot of empty space in a human body. We can't see it because we're not small enough to see it. But anyway,
oh, there's empty space.
I
I'll tell
just
you
think
what,
it's
empty space everywhere in everything. The most solid of structures, empty space, and taken on a quantum level. Absolutely. Right? Can we? Are you okay to continue, or do you need a little break?
well, I can go on. Yeah.
Okay,
Are you okay?
right.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll tell you why, because I wanted to bring this up. The Hayes house. Okay. And what I wanted to ask on the Hayes house is a brief history of the place and why did you think it warranted investigation, Keith?
Well, the Hayes House to me was a second choice. I actually started out doing a paranormal research in the same area as the Hayes House, but I was never able to get written permission to do the book, which was sad. So I had looked at the fact that the location where I had done paranormal research, it was a business. And the two families that ran that business also lived at the Hayes house. So I went to the Hayes house a couple times. I knocked on the door. The owner wasn't there. And the last time I went there and knocked on the door, she was there. She owned the property, but she lived out of town. And she was like renting rooms on Airbnb and also had space for artists to, rent so they could get away and be quiet and have a place to, paint or draw or whatever they want to do. So that's how I got connected with the Hayes House. It was the next best thing because I already knew the ghosts and spirits by communicating with them at a place where they had worked. And now I was just going to a house where both families that had worked at that business had lived at one time. So it was kind of great because most places you go, you don't get that much paranormal activity. And I feel that both families, the Buck family who built the Hayes house in 1908, and also the Hayes family and the Gibson family who lived at the Hayes house from 1942 until the last Hayes family member sold the house in 1996. I feel that they, even after death, they loved the house enough to go back and protect it. During Hurricane Michael in 2018, the water came close to the Hayes house, about a half a block away to the east where the river is, and to the south, about a half a block away from where the bay came up. So they were very lucky to avoid the storm surge. And I think a lot of times the ghosts and spirits use their electromagnetic energy to attempt to keep the house safe.
Okay. Because everyone's kind of like everyone's kind of like heard of Amityville House and in the States, but I for one I haven't heard of the Hayes House before. I didn't know it was. I was quite ignorant of the fact that it was a famous paranormal ghost haunted place, haunted house.
Well, I don't think anyone knew about it until I wrote the book. I think I
Okay.
was the first person to do paranormal research there. And in the US, most people aren't motivated to do paranormal research unless they think it's something wrong or something evil or something negative. But I like
Mm.
to do paranormal research in any place where there's going to be a person who lived there at least 20 or 30 years. When a person lives at a location 20 or 30 years, whether it be a house or an apartment or a cave, any place that a person lives, there's going to be a lot of uh, energy that's stored there. So you have a possibility of getting the uh, energy that's stored within the wood, like the stone tape theory. And you also
Yeah.
have the possibility of getting the living ghost and spirit who's intelligent and who comes back and forth from the afterlife or heaven or whatever you want to call it to look after the house that they still love, at least
Mm.
until they get reincarnated.
Do
So
you Keith, do you align with the theory, the stone tape theory? Do you align with that? Do you think that the actual a property can be haunted and it's not the people, so much?
I think it's a
The
combination
property
of
has
both,
the
at least at the Hayes house. But it could be either or. It could be an intelligent spirit, or it could be just something that's absorbed, like a tape recorder or a video camera, and the
mm,
environment acts like the video camera. They absorb either something that one could see or something that one could hear, and then they
mm,
play it back. So that happens also. It's called residual energy. And at the
yeah.
Hayes house, there's a good bit of residual energy at the Hayes house, but I didn't know about that quite as much when I wrote the book. Um, I heard somebody running up the back steps, and when I was writing the book, the house was full at times with a lot of people. There was a person that lived on the third floor apartment. Uh, there were Airbnb rooms, two on the second floor, one on the first floor. There was artists coming in, painting in the one room. So there was always activity going on. So I had to be very conscious of, well, was that paranormal or was it not? There was one occasion where the owner was there, and him and his wife, and he would come in the back door and run up the steps. and he said it wasn't him. So I don't know who it could have been because everyone else used the front door. And
Okay.
after Hurricane Michael in October of 2018, uh, I went to the Hayes house as soon as I was able to get a rental car to see if it was okay. And of course, it was fine. And the the lady that was doing the housekeeping for the Airbnb was on the phone with the owner. And the owner found out the place that I was living in had been destroyed by Hurricane Michael. He wanted to know if I wanted to rent the third floor apartment. So I did. I rented the third floor apartment. Uh, and I was there from like November up until they sold the Hayes house. I think it was like the 1st of March of 2019. And while I
Hmm.
was there, there's lots of residual energy. On the third floor, um, I would lay down at night and I haven't even went to sleep yet. And it sounded like somebody stomped across the room from like the north to the south in front of my bed. And I don't see anything. And at the time I was a little over 200 pounds. That third floor apartment has carpet down. No matter how hard I stomped, couldn't make a stomping sound. And also I was woke up by someone coming up the steps. The third floor apartment has actually the room to the third floor apartment is on the second floor. And so you have to come up the steps to get to the third floor apartment. And I
Mm.
would hear somebody just run up the steps. And I thought, oh, I forgot to lock the door. And I would look and there'd be nobody at the top of the steps. I get out of bed and nobody there. And the door's locked. And that happened maybe 2 or 3 times. And I could also hear somebody stomping on the front stairway, going from the first floor to the second floor. And it was always at the very top of the steps. And at that time, there was a gentleman living on the second floor apartment. And I would ask him if he heard it. And he said sometimes he would, but he said it was definitely not him. But I had asked him about
Mm.
that. So anyway, there was residual energy like that. And the only thing I could think of before there was a fire in, I think, 1901. And the Hayes House, of
Mm.
course, was a vacant lot and it was built there in 1908. So in 1901, I have a feeling there was probably a house there. And when they had the fire that started at the back of the Methodist church,
Mm.
somebody was milking a cow, from what I understand, and they were using a lamp, and the lamp got knocked over and caught the hay on fire, and the wind was blowing it, and it blew towards the northeast and burnt all the wooden buildings down that way. So I think that's what happened to the structure that was there um, in
Okay.
1901. So I might be hearing the residual energy from people who were trying. It might have been a commercial building back then. It might have not been a residence. So I
See, it's
might have
funny,
been
isn't it?
hearing people stomping
Mm.
around trying to get stuff out of the building, knowing that it was going to catch on fire.
Yeah, but it's odd. What strikes me as the oddest part is it was carpeted, and yet you could hear footsteps on wood.
Oh yeah. So it's from some past time.
Yeah, we often get that where there's sightings of there was a famous sighting of a nun, and the nun you'll see walking along a pathway, nun's pathway, but it's almost as if the nun is floating 3 foot in the air. And you scratch your head thinking, "Oh, I wonder why." No, because the ground has sunk since the time that she was there walking, the ground's sunk. So
Right.
it's the same thing, Keith, isn't it? It's like it's a play out. That type of thing is a play out of a previous incumbent of a time when that entity knew the staircase, not at the top of the staircase, not to be carpeted. It kind of, and I think that once again, it's Do you ever did you ever feel that it was um for you? Now that might sound strange, but do you ever feel that it was putting on a bit of a show for you? Do you think it would play out if you weren't there? Even at this moment, you're talking to me. Is that still going to be making that sound?
Well, when it comes to residual energy, it would be nice to think that it was doing it because I was there, but I don't think so. I think it would happen. Uh, I know, I knew uh, at least two other people that lived there before I did, and the one gentleman just said, "Well, the house can be strange at times," but most people where I live at in Florida are very conservative. So a polite conservative is never going to admit that paranormal exists because then they would be liberal like me. So they're not going to do that. So they'll
Yeah.
just say stuff like, well, the house is strange at times. And then the young lady that last lived there um, said, well, you'll definitely get stuff in this apartment. She never
Mm.
told me about whatever happened to her, but she said, you will definitely get stuff in this apartment. Because I was able to go up and do paranormal research, 2 hours worth that I put into the Hayes House book. And that was when a young lady was actually living in that apartment. I got
Yeah.
permission from her to do that. And she was right.
Yeah. Well, do you find that they shy away? Say that you put an MP3 player to record the footsteps. Do you find that the moment you put a camera or an MP3 recorder to record and to document, it kind of like either gets corrupted or it doesn't work or you don't record anything? Do you find that often happening?
Yes. When I was at the 1880 Victorian, I had situations where my cell phone overheated and
Mm.
I had to go out and buy a new cell phone. And I also had situations where my um, SD card for my camcorder would just go corrupted. You could use it to tape, but you couldn't save anything from that SD card. Couldn't save it to any place else.
Yeah.
So the only way you get any footage to use for, say, like a TV program or, to store, you would have to take another videotape of it, kind of take a video of your videotape. So I
Right.
had that happen at 1880. The only thing that happened at the Hayes house was batteries would drain. And also, camcorders would turn off on their own. And it
Okay.
wasn't because of a battery change. Sometimes they would just turn off on their own. And I think that was an intelligent ghost or spirit saying, well, I don't really care for the this angle
Yeah.
of taping, so I'm going to turn it off. But I
Yeah.
had a lot of batteries being drained, and I was, believe me, when I go to do paranormal research, I got everything charged up. I don't leave any, you know,
Oh no, join the club. Me
anything.
too. I know.
I
Join the
don't leave
club.
anything uncovered. I make sure that I'm top notch,
Yeah.
so that way
Yeah.
I know when the actual intelligent ghosts and spirits are draining energy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh no, I think majority of people watching this are 100%. They're going to be saying yes. We have the same happen. It seems to be a universal trait where, and this goes for things like alien UFO entity or close encounters like that. It has a direct effect on the electrical equipment, uh, decharges very quickly. It upsets a lot of electronic and electrical equipment. It has a close, I don't know, it has a close affiliation to anything which emits or has a field of electricity around it. Whatever
And
we're
that's
dealing with.
because it is electromagnetic energy. Ghosts and spirits are just electromagnetic energy. When we pass away, that's all our soul is that's all that's left is electromagnetic energy because you can't create or destroy energy. It just goes to another
No,
form.
that's true. Yeah, yeah, true. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, I was going to say, um, the ghosts in the Hayes house. I don't quite like using that term, but um, are they people, Keith?
You know, they're they were people when they passed away. They had a
Mm,
biological body up until they passed away, but now they're just the soul of that person. And I really feel that once they're reincarnated and they come back
mm,
as another living being, whether it be a cat, dog, or bird, or human,
mm.
then I don't think their ghost or spirit will be available. And sometimes I think a ghost or spirit can stay in the spirit world longer if they are a guardian angel to a house or a person. If they're doing that, I think they might get to remain in the spirit realm longer before they get
Mm.
reincarnated.
Okay. Can I just going back really quickly? So they talk about because I'm not a biologist by any way, shape, or form. But when they talk about plasma in the blood, what do they mean by plasma in the blood? What is that?
That's the liquid part of blood.
Okay,
It
that's
doesn't
liquid.
it doesn't have any red corpuscles or red blood cells. The red blood
Okay,
cells is what has the iron.
okay, all right. I just wanted to get that straight because I think a lot of what we see is plasma. It's not EMF. I think it's plasma, and I think it behaves in a
Oh,
sentient manner.
you're not talking about blood, are you?
No, I'm talking about ghosts, but I just thought, while I got you here, I'll pick your brain on on blood because you're the man to ask. And I thought I heard plasma, kind of being bandied about from the point of view of like blood, and I wondered, I wonder what plasma is in blood. I just sort of thought I'd pick your brain on that. But I believe, Keith, that when we see like ghosts, and a lot of the ghosts and UFOs even, and also a lot of entities that require energies, that a lot of those are plasma based. Like you get the dome and you touch a dome that's got plasma inside dancing around. I think it's that
Well,
type of
see,
energy.
there's another like in chemistry you have like air, you have liquid, you have
Mm,
solids, and there's also a plasma, which is a superheated, supercharged state. Um, are you talking about that?
Yeah, talking about because plasma is one of the most abundant uh, elements, if you like, in the universe. I'm talking about the plasma which when they were the Three Eye Atlas. Okay, Three Eye Atlas had a glow around it, but with the particles from the sun hitting the dust from that Three Eye Atlas, it would charge it. It would ionize it and charge it into
Right.
plasma. Yeah, I'm talking about that energetic light anomaly that people often see in like almost kiddies' toys, you know, the globes, which where you've got the dancing donut of light and sparkling and reaching out
Right.
towards your fingers as you.
Phosphorescent.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
I don't know if it would be considered a state of plasma, but uh, there are different I guess different plants decay and will phosphorescent. And if
mm,
you take a rake and you're raking leaves in the yard and it's dark out and you rake over it, it'll sparkle like lights. So there's
yeah,
different forms of chemical lighting, kind of like a glow stick that a lot of
yeah,
people would use at rock concerts. I
yeah.
don't know if they do it anymore. That's just like chemical lighting.
Mm.
So
That's it. It's phosphorus, isn't it?
I think
As
so.
soon as you
Some of
break
it.
the glass, the phosphorus inside breaks and it just mixes and then it starts to glow, doesn't it? Very interesting though with the electrical. You know that you found that your electrical equipment was being drained. Um, you know, it's a very. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Anyone that has anything to do with ghosts and paranormal has the same thing happen to them as well.
Yes.
Um,
And it's frustrating because it's hard to capture that data. You know, you can, you don't have a, a photo of you turning the camera on. So if you wanted to fake it, it would be very easy to fake and just say, yeah, I turned it on, but now it's turned off. So it's not good paranormal data. It's not the type of data that you want. You want to, say, use your C5 camera and get an unexplained glob of, you know, say, blue in front of you, and then it's gone.
yeah,
You want
yeah,
that because that shows something was cooling down the environment and now it's gone. Or
mm,
you want to ask the question and then have the Obelisk 5 give you a quick response. I remember one day I was doing the front porch of the Hayes house. It's a wraparound front porch. And I got the name of the road wrong. I gave it I gave the road the same name as a road in Baltimore, Maryland. And the Obelisk 5 said liar. As soon as I said the name of the road wrong, I got liar. So that was a very intelligent type. And that doesn't happen that often. But that is the type of thing that you want. So I really like that. And I wasn't trying to draw that out. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll say something wrong and see if the ghost and spirit corrects me. But that
yeah,
time I just somehow gave the street there in Apalachicola, Florida, the name of a street in Baltimore, Maryland. I just
right,
Freudian slip or something. And
yeah,
I got on the Obelisk 5 liar. So that's the type of
mm,
stuff you want to get. When they drain your equipment, that means you got to go back and charge all your equipment before you
yeah,
can really do a good taping. So
yeah.
it's more frustrating than anything.
But that's the absurdity of what we're chasing after, isn't it? It's absurd. Every time it kind of we want to get defined results, it coughs up something really absurd, or it doesn't uh, act in a manner which is repeatable. It doesn't act in a manner that is clinical enough to repeat. You know, it'll be an absurd kind of a type of evidencing, like your battery dying, and the only way to capture that would be to maybe use a time lapse camera just on that battery as the digits go down on the. But who's going to do that? Do you know? Um, you have to have patience enough to be in the house waiting for something to happen, let alone put a time lapse camera up.
Well, when I was at the 1880 Victorian in St. Augustine, I really need to write a book about that. Um, when I was there, my phone overheated. It was actually hot to touch. And I think that was paranormal. And I kind of got mad at the ghost in the house because $200 to replace a phone that I'd only had less than a year, I just got angry. So I yelled at the ghost in the house and more or less kicked the ghost in the house out, which is kind of out of character for me. And I was unable to get any of the video or any of the photos from that was stored in that phone. And it was mainly photos, but I think I had some videos stored in there also. And I'd say about 1 year later, this happened in about April or May of 2020 when I was doing my paranormal research at the 1880 Victorian in St. Augustine, Florida. About a year later, I thought about it and I was getting ready to go to sleep. And I thought, I kind of feel guilty. Suppose it was just a defective phone and didn't have anything to do with those ghost spirits. So I just openly said out loud, I'm sorry, ghosts and spirits. I think I was wrong. I think it was a defective phone. The next morning when I got up, the present phone that I had that was working, it was maxed out storage-wise. And I thought, that can't be. And I looked all the photos that I did not have from the 1880 that were lost on the phone that went bad were on my new phone. Now that's paranormal. And ghosts and spirits, they can be good to you if they want to. Yeah. And I'm very thankful that they put the photos back on. And that's a year. And when did it happen? The morning after I apologized for being so rude and obnoxious towards the ghosts and spirits. We all think if something goes bad, it's the ghost or the spirit. And I do the same things. I do the same thing, but sometimes we're wrong about that. And we should be very careful about always blaming something on the ghosts and spirits, because a lot of times it's not them at all. I think I really had a defective phone that was probably going to do that no matter what, even if I wasn't doing paranormal research.
Do you think it could have been a case that you took the photos with your defunct phone that overheated, you took them, but your new phone, they got uploaded to cloud, and then on your new phone, it just downloaded the phone, or you got access on cloud to your new phone? Do you think it could have been that? Did you have cloud storage?
I've had a couple different storage things, but I can't even get into them. Sometimes the phone will automatically store things, but I don't even know how to get into them. So I don't think it was that. And now the phone the phone I'm using right now that I'm doing this podcast on, it will automatically store stuff to cloud. I don't have to do nothing. It just does it on its own.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any way that it will download items that have actually been stored in the past. Now, maybe the ghosts know how to do it, or the spirits know how to do it, but they did it, not me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it will, like people nowadays, you take a photo, if you've got cloud storage, you take a photo, any video, and it will store it on cloud. And then if you pick up a tablet or you pick up another device, if it's linked to that cloud, you'll have access to the photos. When you go onto your gallery, you'll have access to them, but it won't download them unless you physically download them to your device. So that part is true. Yeah, I agree with that. That's
and I don't even know how to download them from the cloud.
I know.
So
we had trouble getting onto this, didn't we? So
yeah, I routinely have trouble with technology. So and it was like clockwork. The night I probably went to sleep around maybe 11 and 12 midnight, and I did the apologizing to the ghosts and spirits and told them that I think I was wrong. They probably had nothing to do with the phone burning up, but that was a $200 phone, and 200 is a lot to put out for a phone. Like when you just purchased that phone the year before. So, I was angry and I apologized to them. And the next morning, you know, I just, as soon as I turned on my phone, it
Mm.
said that your storage space is maxed out. And I knew that couldn't be. It couldn't, I didn't take that many pictures the day before. And all the pictures, I looked to see why I was maxed out, and all the pictures from the 1880 were on. I was tickled to death. But I
Mm.
think it had to do everything with apologizing to the ghosts and spirits the night before.
Good. All of these books that we're talking about, for people at home, all these books that we're talking about, and all of everything we're referencing, is available. This one, Hayes House, is available on Kindle. It's available to download. But the rest of the books that we're talking about, including this one, Planet of the Vampires, and this one, Vampires Dead or Alive, are available on Amazon, okay, to purchase and also to download. And I strongly, anyone who's interested in this type of thing, it's a jolly good read. All of them are actually. Um, Keith, I wanted to ask you about the angels. You mentioned about the angels, guardian angels. Um, what are they? I know what angels
I
are. I
think
believe in angels, but what do you think they are?
anything that you loved during your life, once you
Mm,
pass away, I think you have the ability to come back and try to protect it as a ghost or spirit. You might even have to like manipulate a person to notice the old house you used to live in. And I always hear people saying, well, we were driving down the road and we just noticed this house and we loved it. We had to buy it. I think that's the ghosts of spirits kind of getting your attention to say, look over there and check out that old house.
yeah.
Because, most people they don't just say, well, let's go buy an old house. They usually ride by and something about that house just captures their attention and their curiosity and they want to be a part of that. And I think
Mm.
that's the ghost and spirit manipulating you to want to buy the house, live there, and take care of it the way they took care of it.
The
So
house kind
that's
of
what I
chooses
call
them.
guardian angel. It's not
Okay.
a biblical religious guardian angel. It's the person who's passed away who still loves something on earth, whether it be a human, an automobile, a house, and they want to come back and make sure that it's taken care of, either by manipulating a living human being to buy it and take care of it, or just by mainly if someone was going to walk up and set a house on fire and the guardian angel was there, the guardian angel, if they couldn't stop them from, starting a fire, they would probably let the owners know there's something wrong at home. Because I've heard of people saying, they were at the restaurant and they said, I've got to go home. There's something wrong. And they went home and there was a fire that had somehow been started and they could, you know, distinguish it or stop it before it spread too far. And
Mm.
I think that's the guardian angels communicating their thoughts and feelings directly, telepathically into the human's brain. So the human understands it, recognizes it, and acts on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. It's funny the gut feelings that you have, and a lot of times, I mean, you must have had gut feelings in the past, and it's turned out to be quite right. Um, yeah, it's funny that it is odd. Um, right. Now, Planet of the Vampires, Keith. Planet of the Vampires. How on earth did you get on? What are we actually talking about? What is it? I mean, Proxima B orbits within. You're talking about Proxima B, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, and
Proxima
then
Centauri B is a it orbits Proxima Centauri, which is its host star,
Yeah.
and it's tidal locked. They feel that it's tidal locked, so the one side always faces the sun, the star, which is
Mm.
Proxima Centauri, and
Yeah.
I feel
It's a
that
red,
this is
it's a
the
red
home
dwarf
of the
star.
vampires.
So just for people at home, just to let them know, it's 4.2 light years from us. Host star, Proxima Centauri, is a red dwarf star that experiences frequent and potentially damaging flares, which could strip away the planet's atmosphere and pose a threat to life. It is tidally locked due to its close orbit. Proxima Centauri b is likely tidally locked, meaning one side constantly faces the star, a perpetual day side, while the other remains in constant darkness, a perpetually night side. Atmosphere. The intense UV radiation from its star may not allow for stable Earth-like atmosphere to survive on the planet. The environment on Proxima b is a contributing factor. So, is it a contributing factor of their species, Keith? I mean, I'm talking environmental factor, considering UV, the UV light that's emanating from the dwarf star. Is that a contributing factor in their evolution? Did they have to adapt because they lived on Proxima b?
Well, I think that might have been one of the reasons why they wanted to travel to Earth. And I think that only a vampire could survive that long. Vampires don't die. They're not like human beings where they have a lifespan. They can be destroyed, but they don't die of old age. So, what a better species to travel many light years away. And if a vampire can survive years in a coffin, well, they can survive years in a flying spacecraft. And
Yeah.
I really feel that probably the majority of the vampires on Proxima Centauri b live underground. And we don't really know for sure, but if the flares are so bad that they have dispersed all the atmosphere from the surface, there still might be atmosphere underground, and it might be protected from the surface. There might be large caves, or even caves that the vampires have, tunnels that the vampires have dug, and there could be different type of plant life, uh, and then
Mm.
they might have made sure that they sealed the caves so that it's not seeping out to the atmosphere. And because of the hot and cold side of the planet, there would only be like a 60-kilometer area around the circumference of the planet where it would be cool enough for life to really exist. That would be the 60-kilometer area right there between the permanent day and the permanent night, where you could actually live on the surface. But there's going to be extreme winds from the hot side blowing towards the cold side. And those extreme winds could just be like hurricane force constantly. So if you live on the surface, you might have to have some type of fortified protection to even survive. Um, we're not sure how strong the winds are. The winds could be stronger in the upper areas, and then near ground might be fairly normal. If that be the case, then there could be vampires living on the surface. But I would imagine that most of the vampires would live underground, and I think that they have all types of a different plant life that is different from our plants. I think they have a combination of photosynthesis and biological animals that are like trees. They're stationary. they stay in one area. They don't have locomotion. They can't move around. And on Earth, if you were an animal and you couldn't run fast, something else is going to eat you. But I think, to the best of my knowledge, on um, Proxima Centauri B, all the animals, not all, but most of the animals are going to be stationary, like a tree growing on the ground. And they'll get some nutrition from the ground and like some nutrition from the artificial light that they have in the cave system. And then the vampires might have even come up with a mirror system to bring some of the light in from the area where the star is sunsetting. Because if you're right along that area where day meets permanent night, it's going to be like permanent sunsetting. So you could use a mirror to get some of the light into the cave. And if your mirror system is good enough, you might be able to reflect that light back and forth to somewhat light up the cave and also allow photosynthesis to take place. And I feel that a lot of these stationary animals have a like fur or even scales or even like shingles you would put on a roof. And I think the vampires can, like you would say, cut your dog's hair. I think they can take these shingles off of these so-called biological plants that are a combination of animal and plant life, and that they can use that almost like we use tea bags to flavor water. They can use these plates or shingles off of the outside layer of these animal plant type beings and actually drink the blood from it. I think they're rich in blood, and all they have to do is use it like a tea bag. So, to think that all the vampires on Proxima Centauri B are running around biting somebody, I think they can get their blood supply without biting anybody. So,
it's funny you say. I remember hearing something about with Earth and the cave paintings over here. There was somebody, scientists postulated that years ago, the sun, thousands of years ago, the sun was not as it is now. It was a lot more fierce, and that's why people lived in caves to hide from the sun because it was harmful to them. And that's why we have so many cave paintings and so many cave systems where bones were found and homes were made. We wouldn't find settlements as such in the early man. It was caves. That goes some way to what you're saying, really.
well, in the caves, anything you do, unless someone has moved into the cave after you, is going to be preserved. Or if it's on the surface, someone else is going to move in and change things. But I would say on Proxima Centauri B, just the fact that you're either going to be dealing with extreme cold or extreme hot, that, you can't be on the hot side because it would vaporize you. It would get so hot. And on the cold side, I think the vampire can freeze solid, but not die. So if the vampire does accidentally get on the cold side and freeze solid, they just have to be rescued back and thawed out. I don't think that'll kill them, but still, they can't live that way. They can't live in extreme cold, where if you're under the ground far enough, you're insulated from the heat from the hot side, and you're also insulated from the cold side. And I think that's where most of the vampires live. And, I feel that they don't kill anything to eat, and they don't drink all the blood of anything. I think they just uh, use
Mm.
moderation, and I think they treat their the biological plant-like animals that are stationary. I think they treat them with the same respect that we treat our dogs and our cats. At least some of us treat our dogs and our cats that way.
Yeah.
So
Can I
I
maybe
think they have that semiotic type existence where the vampires need the plants to drink the blood, or the plant type animals. So they're going to
mm,
take care of them. And also, um, if you kill every animal or plant, you're not going to have any food. So they have to use
yeah.
moderation.
Okay, I'm going to put up a QR code now. People at home, what you can do with this QR code, this is for Keith's YouTube channel. Okay, Paranormal Short Sessions by Keith Evans. And if you scan the QR code on the top left-hand side of the screen, it will take you directly to his YouTube channel. Um, that's another way that you can and subscribe, please. You know, let's get some subscriptions for him and check out his material and his stuff because it's
Yeah.
highly interesting. Um, and
Thank
you'll
you.
be
I didn't even know I had one of those.
no, you didn't. I generated it for you.
All right. Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
okay. That's not a problem. That's okay. Right now, in your book here, this one that we're talking about, Planet of the Vampires, um, you talk about their culture. Um, can you elaborate a little bit on their culture, the culture on their planet there?
Well, when it comes to their culture, for instance, vampires, uh, I hate to use the term read your mind, but they can sense your brain waves. And if there's anyone who, say, a vampire would want to kill another vampire, that vampire is going to know about it already. So it pretty much eliminates crime because, vampires are a very ancient species. And since they can kind of pick up on your brain waves to, you might say read your mind or at least understand your intentions or your thoughts, I think it eliminates crime totally because it's no sense having a vampire who's planning a crime when everybody knows about it. If you're planning to embezzle money from your employer, they'll just fire you the next day. Or if you're planning on robbing a bank, the police will just show up and be waiting for you. Since vampires have the ability to understand your brain waves, um, they already know what you're going to do. So I think it makes their culture a very crime-free
Mm.
culture because everyone already knows what the other person's intentions are. You can't gaslight them or fool them or say one thing to do another because they already know that you're going to do that.
Okay, so
And
Keith,
yeah,
one quick one I've got to ask then, okay? Because culture is the ability to create, transmit, and maintain, isn't it? Symbols, language, and rituals, and to pass those down. The learned knowledge and behavior are transmitted from one generation to the next through communication, observation, and interaction. Yeah. Um, if these entities live forever, that begs the question: is there a saturation point where they can't pass the culture down because there is no new generation coming up? The culture sort of freezes, it freeze frames. You see what I mean? Because these things live forever.
well, I guess in a way, but you're still gonna, for instance, like if there's no crime, that's part of your culture. Being able to read a person's brain waves, that's part of your culture. So I would say that just the fact that they're living on a planet where they don't kill other animals, nothing on that planet Proxima Centauri b is going to go extinct unless the whole planet is burnt to a crisp somehow. So, I think that shows you that they have a certain goodwill towards other species, and that they're going to treat other species with respect the same way they would treat another vampire.
You reminded me of something I wanted to ask you. I nearly forgot it. Right. Oh, I'll turn the light on in a minute. Oh, I think it's paranormal. I think that is paranormal. Biodiversity. I'll turn the light on in a minute. Biodiversity. Do they have any biodiversity, being that they seem to be, is it just one species, or are they biodiverse? Are they a diverse species? Does it hurt them at all that they're not biodiverse?
As far as the biosphere, I feel that they probably have animals underground that can actually burrow and go through the ground, and kind of like moles. But I think most of the animals that would be on Proxima Centauri b would be similar to what we have in caves. They probably rely less on sunlight and more on maybe like a thermal imager. They would sense heat. Because if you can't see, you almost have to sense the heat of a, say, a mammal that's in front of you. So a lot depends. There's a lot that we don't know about Proxima Centauri b. So it could be very biodiversity. It may not. If you're limited to living underground and you're limited to those options, all of your living beings or whatever species are going to be limited to, not running fast. If you're in a cave,
they're not the animals they're feeding on. I'm not worried about. I wasn't talking about, like, the biodiversity of food available. I was talking about them as a species being biodiversible, because
you mean the
you
vampires
don't have.
themselves?
Yeah, because if they're not diverse, then you get inbreeding, you get mutations within their own self. We have to have a certain amount of or be quite apt to say, really, we have to have a mixing of blood. We have to have that to
Well, I think that would be very important on Earth, but if you have beings that can live forever, it probably becomes less important. I mean, there's probably a lot less greed on Proxima Centauri b, because vampires can live forever and they can make more money tomorrow. So I think the whole problem of greed on Earth is that everyone says, I have a limited amount of time, so I got to get as much money in my pocket as I can while I'm alive. But with the vampire culture, they're going to live forever, so they always have the next day to work again or make money and enjoy life.
Talking about money, Keith. I'm pleased you mentioned that. Talking about money, government. Do they have a government?
I think they have limited government. I think vampires are they share the same DNA, and I think their thought processes are very much in line with doing things that preserve the planet, keeping the planet safe, keeping other vampires safe. And I really feel that they have limited government, because vampires are they're kind of like a stray cat. They want to do things their way, but at the same time, they're very respectful to other vampires. It's like they take very seriously, do unto others as you would want others to do unto you. And I think they're very limited government. I think they more or less self-govern themselves by just a certain code of conduct, which is probably beyond what most humans would go by or follow.
Okay.
And it's very easy to do because if you can read another person's mind waves and know exactly what they think about you, know exactly what their plans are, if they're planning to sell you a house that's on an active sinkhole that's going to fall in, then you're not going to buy the house.
I
So
didn't know that.
vampires, I think they realize that the other vampire knows as much about what they're thinking as they know. They have more respect for each other and treat each other a lot better than
Mm.
what most humans treat themselves and others.
Keith, are you okay? Are you all right to take a few questions from people?
Sure.
Okay, all right then. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to have a little look and see what questions we've got. Um, let's have a look and see. Um, well, actually, what I can do is just ask see if Roxy B's got any questions. Ah, here we go. The Dark 66. Hello, Colin. Nice for you to join us. Thank you, mate. What does Keith think about the Highgate Cemetery case in 1970s? Now that's going to be something new to you, Keith, isn't it?
Now, what was the name of it again in the 1970s?
The Highgate Cemetery case was a
I might have saw something about that on TV. Is that
hmm,
a graveyard in UK that
yeah, in London.
everyone was trespassing into? It had like an iron gate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I went there. I went there. It's an interesting place. There's two sides to it. There's a north side and a south side, and there's a road in the middle. And it's a big cemetery. A lot of famous people. Karl Marx, I believe, is buried there. Malcolm McLaren as well. He's buried there. I saw his grave. And what it was there was incidents of people seeing what they believed to be a vampire in Highgate Cemetery. And this is in the 1970s, Keith, not that long ago.
Right.
And so much so, it affected people so much so that there was two guys in particular that were, if you like, in competition, but they would stalk with stakes, and garlic and, archetypal, kind of like anti-vampire, kit. Highgate Cemetery looking for the vampire, and it was seen quite a few times. This vampire was. But it was never formally identified as any particular person within the cemetery. But yeah, it was a thing. It was definitely a thing.
Yeah, I really don't know that much about it to really draw conclusions. I think I did see it on one of the TV programs here in America, but it was years ago, and they touched briefly on it. They mainly were looking at the fact that the graveyard was closed off because too many people were coming in, and they didn't want any tombstones to be, damaged. So they pretty much closed it off. That's what I had heard.
Okay. Right. Have we got any other questions? Let's have a look. We'll see if Roxy's got any more questions to bring up. I'm just having a quick look through, Keith. Come on, people. Surely you must have questions. Let's have a look.
Well, let me ask the audience a question. Here in America, we can order a book on Amazon and have it in like 2 or 3 days. Is it the same way in the UK?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. If you order a book, Amazon's really good. It just like boom, sometimes it delivers even before I think about getting it. They're really efficient, very efficient.
That's
They're
good.
really good. Ready Steady Retro says, "What about the 1954 Gorbals incident in Glasgow? The incident incited the ban of a certain uh, horror in the UK." Oh, okay. I don't know about that one actually. Gorbals incident in Glasgow.
I I don't think I've ever heard about that.
No, I haven't. No. Um, okay. No, I don't know. I'll have to have a look up on that one myself. I'm sorry about that. Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Also, vampires come from ancient Greece.
Is that a question?
No, it's a statement, really. This is from Colin. Uh,
Yeah, I
Originally,
think they've been around that long. Definitely.
yeah, yeah. Now I'll tell you what I have got, which you might find interesting. Now, what it is, I chucked a bit at AI, and I asked AI to come up with, a few bits and pieces to see what it said about it. And evidently, India is a big place for vampires as well. And you've got things like Ma Kali, who used to have an ongoing war with a certain demon. But if the demon's blood was shed and hit the ground, it would replicate and it would make another demon. So she, Ma Kali, she created these entities, these beings, to actually collect all the blood before it hit the ground and could create more demons. And that was like, in essence, the start of vampire in India. Yeah, it's an actual story.
I never heard of that, but it sounds like they would need a custodial type person to clean up the blood before it hit the ground.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what Mark Carley would come up with, these entities to collect the blood. That's what she used to create. She created.
Well, I guess if there was a demon, and if killing it, if its blood hit the ground, it would create another demon. I guess the vampire would be the only thing that could bite it in the neck and draw out the blood without it hitting the ground and kill it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've never heard of that before. That's new on me.
Oh yeah, I found out some crazy stuff about vampire, crazy stuff. Larry Luttrell says, "Where do you believe that the origins of vampires originated?" I think we covered that. That was Proxima B, wasn't it?
Yes, Proxima Centauri B.
Yeah.
And that's the, I think, the only inhabitable planet in the Goldilocks zone around the star. There's another Proxima Centauri A, which they thought may be a planet, but they think it's just a loose group of stones that have kind of congealed that spin around the host star, Proxima Centauri. So there might be two planets. And if it's a group of loose debris, if it gets to be heavy enough, it will form a mass. So someday it might actually be a planet. And there's also been reports of light spotted coming from Proxima Centauri B. And they don't think it was caused by any natural form like lightning or a volcano or something like that. They think it's some type of had to be made, something made the light. So I don't know what that was about, but I only what I read on it was only detected one time for a short period of time. It seems like if it was a city or something, the lights would be there for a long period of time.
I
So I
think
don't
I
know.
remember that. Yes, I
It's been a
remember
long
that.
time since I read that story. I was going to uh, put that story in with the book, but I think I forgot to do it. I wanted to try to tie that in, but I don't know if I ever did. It was something I was planning, and I done the book so fast. I did it in like a 2 month period. It just all kind of came to me. So I think I left that part out. But if there's some type of say unnatural light that's coming from Proxima Centauri B, and it's not there all the time. Maybe it was some type of, ritual where every cave somehow puts up a light to shine on the surface on the dark side. It'd have to be on the
Mm.
dark side because I'm sure on the side facing the sun, you're probably not going to see that side from here because that's going to be the side away from us, I would assume. So
Yeah. Other than that, it's very, yeah, it's fascinating. I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah, the light anomalies.
so it might have been something that was done occasionally, but not something that they do all the time. If it was a city above the ground on the actual surface, then we'd see the lights all the time. So it was just something that they did every once in a while. Maybe it could have been space travel. Maybe one of their rockets or whatever they use for compulsion to travel from planet to planet or from
Mm.
star system to star system. Maybe somehow there was an accident and it blew up and it caused the flash of light. So maybe we were just watching a tragedy. And since when we saw it 4 light years away, it happened a long time ago because it took the light that long to travel for us to be able to see it with our telescopes.
Yeah, no, it would have done because it is. Let's have a look. It is 4.2 light years. So yeah, the light leaving there would take 4.2 years to get here, which is actually really close. Really close.
But still, when we saw it, it happened earlier.
Mm.
Say if we saw it in 2018, it was happening sometime in 2014.
Yeah. So it'd be 4.2. It must be 4.2 million light years, Keith. Must be. Is it 4.2 million light years or 4.2 light years?
No, I think it's just 4.2 light years.
That's really
But
close.
light travels a long ways in a year.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Earth years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Larry Luttrell said, I should have been more specific. I meant their origin here on Earth. Oh, okay, yeah. So, when he said about the vampire's origin, and we said it was Proxima Centauri B, the original origin, what Larry
Well,
meant was here on Earth.
there's a possibility that vampires might have been part of evolution and might have actually, some of them might actually be from Earth, but I think the majority of them came from Proxima Centauri B, and I think they were probably here on Earth um, long before humans, and they probably manipulated our genes. The reason why we don't look more like chimpanzees or great apes, since we do have DNA, which is totally different from DNA to other animals on Earth. So I think they were the ones that manipulated our DNA. So And I think the vampires interbreeded with humans, and they probably done it. They probably manipulated our DNA just so they could interbreed with us, because they probably wanted offspring that wouldn't have to avoid our sunlight. Because I feel that our sunlight derivals their DNA if they're exposed to it. It'll kill them, or at least destroy them. Vampires don't die from old age. So I think they were motivated to manipulate our DNA so they would be able to interbreed uh, with humans so they could have offspring that would be able to withstand the sunlight. After all, we're the only species on Earth that gets sunburns. No other species on Earth gets red or brown when they're exposed to the sun.
No, no. I mean, don't pigs roll in mud? Pigs roll in mud so they protect them, don't they?
I've never had a pig. I
No,
do
no,
know
no.
that they like mud, but I don't know if
Yeah.
it's their suntan lotion or not.
No, you are right. You are right. There's certain things which on Earth, I think it's Dr. De Silva came up with a book. He wrote a book, Dr. De Silva did, and in it he said that we weren't indigenous to Earth um, because we
And
suffered.
that could be because we originally came from Mars. And even if we came from Mars, there's a possibility that the vampires, if the vampires had been on Earth, they've probably been on Mars.
Right.
So the manipulation could have took place someplace along the way, whether it be on Earth or on Mars, which is all a possibility. They're all variables within the big look at vampires and human relations.
Okay. Interesting. Right. Now, look, what I'm going to do, I'm going to urge people to check out your books again. But also, Keith, what's the best way people can get in touch with you?
Um, I guess they could email me at petcat 2006.
Okay. Can they can contact you through your YouTube as well, which I'll put up there again.
I don't. I I'm trying to think. They could observe my YouTube channel, but I don't know if they can contact me. They could leave a comment, I possibly,
Yeah, yeah, they
but
can leave a comment.
my Yahoo email is probably the best way. But as far as doing paranormal research, I don't think I could afford to come to England to do paranormal research. I would love to, but I'd have to sell a lot of books to be able to afford to do that. And right
Yeah,
now,
no, no, no.
the way the situation is in the USA, if I leave the country, they might, they might put me in an internment camp when I come back. So I don't know right now if I want to leave the country. I'd be a little frightened.
Yeah, no, no, it's a bit of a turmoil at the moment, isn't it? Really, everywhere is,
Yes,
to be honest. It's a bit of
it's
turmoil.
sad. It's very
It
sad.
it's very, very sad. It is, yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not great. It's definitely not great. There's a lot of people that are worried. There's a lot of worried people out there.
And
Uh,
I like to apologize to all the NATO members. And NATO is probably the best thing the U.S. ever had, and I'm hoping that we will get another administration in soon who will show our friends, our loyal friends, and NATO members the same respect that they deserve. And I'm sorry that the situation we have now is not doing that.
okay. Well, if it wasn't talk of the dead or about blood that will give me a ban, it will probably be that. They'll probably strike me now for that. But yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an interesting subject, and it's I mean, you finished on you know, what you said about the NATO and about the government. I'm not going to get onto the politics of stuff, but it's I think everywhere is going through a lot of turmoil at the moment. Nearly every country is going through a lot of turmoil, and I think a lot of it is orchestrated. You know, planned.
You
It's
think it's all planned?
oh, of course, yes, yes. It's all planned. You know, it's you know, we're like a shepherd with the sheep. We're kind of, you know, pushed to a state of um, fear, if you like. We're pushed to a state of fear. We're pushed to a state of, you know, it's easier to manipulate somebody when you know the outcome of their emotion, you know. But
Right. Just like the way people are all fearing vampires.
yeah, exactly. And a good point to end on. Keith, I'd want to say thank you very much for coming on the show. I do appreciate it.
And just remember, the only thing you need to fear is fear itself.
Very true. Yeah, very, very true. And you know, definitely when you write another book or if you want to come on again, anytime, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you.
That sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Right. Thank you, Keith. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
God bless. Bye bye. That was great. Yeah, just want to say thank you very much for Keith for coming on the show and sharing all that detailed knowledge. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. There's one guy, you know, when you like interviewed some people and you just think, oh, well, you know, I did want to get him on because you know, you don't often get people talking about vampires and stuff like that, you know, and in such a logical way. So it's like really, yeah, it's fantastic. I really hope you enjoyed that. I did. Yep, got Kate on, got Sasquatch Sister, Dawn, got Ready Steady Retro. We've got Larry. Hello, Larry Luttrell. Of course, Colin. Hello, Colin. Ever so pleased you could make it, mate. The show wouldn't be the same without you popping on, mate. Roxy B, thank you very much for managing and bringing up the questions. Do appreciate it. And basically, yeah, for me, I just want to say thank you. Okay, to everybody, and God bless, and have a good weekend. See you again next week.